silent, moonlit nights of Karnataka, when the wind howls through empty streets and the shadows stretch long, an ancient fear stirs. She is out there, wandering, searching, calling for her next victim. They say she comes in the dark, a witch draped in tattered rags, her eyes hollow, her nails long and yellowed like the talons of a vulture. But it is her voice that is the most terrifying, a soft, gentle whisper calling out from the doorstep. She does not bang or scratch, she does not try to break in. Instead, she calls your name, her voice perfect, mimicking your mother, your wife, your child. If you answer, if you open the door, you're never seen again. For centuries, villagers whispered of her, a spirit, a curse, an unseen horror that takes the foolish and the curious. The story spread and the fear grew. People locked their doors at sunset, their hands trembling as they lit oil lamps, listening for the voice that should not be there. But then, someone discovered the only way to keep her away. They wrote Nale Bar on their doors. Come tomorrow. A simple trick, but it worked. When the witch arrived and saw the words, she paused. She could not resist. She obeyed. Tomorrow. Always tomorrow. And so, each night she turned away, wandering the empty streets, her whispers growing softer, her hunger left unsatisfied. But she never stops. She never leaves. Even today, in the hidden corners of old towns, you can still find the words, faded, cracked, but still there. And if, one night, as you lie in bed, you hear your mother's voice outside your door, calling your name softly, do not answer. Check the door, make sure the words are still there, or else, by morning, you will be gone. Behind which dozens of disembodied hands are pressed against the glass, reaching, clawing, trying to break through. But it is not just the eerie image that haunts those who see it. It is the belief that the painting's characters are not as still as they seem. The legend surrounding the painting is chilling. Some claim that at night, when the lights go out and the house falls silent, the boy and the doll begin to move. The boy, with his vacant stare, steps forward from the painting, while the hands on the glass seem to writhe, as if alive. The doll, always watching, has been said to wander the room, creeping silently across the floor. Those unlucky enough to own the painting report strange occurrences. Items going missing, cold drafts, and the feeling of being watched when no one is there. But the true terror lies in the whispers that the boy and the doll sometimes leave the painting entirely. They step out of the canvas and into the world, taking on a life of their own, only to return before morning's light. No one knows where they go or what they do when they leave, but the horror is clear. The painting is not a simple image. It is a doorway, and the figures within it are not bound by the limits of the frame. wind whispers through the pines, a mournful sigh that carries the chilling legend of the Jersey Devil. Deep within the pine barrens, a desolate expanse of scrub and shadow. A creature of nightmare stalks the night. Born of a cursed birth, the 13th child of Mother Leeds, a woman said to have consorted with the devil himself. The Jersey Devil is a monstrosity of flesh and bone, a twisted mockery of nature. Its form is fluid, shifting and changing in the swirling mists of the barrens. Some describe it as a bipedal kangaroo, its powerful legs propelling it across the landscape with terrifying speed. Others speak of a wyvern, its leathery wings beating against the night sky, casting a long, ominous shadow over the terrified witnesses below. But all agree on certain chilling details. A horse-like or goat-like head with eyes that burn with an unholy fire. Horns, sharp and twisted, protrude from its skull, framing a face contorted in a perpetual snarl. Small clawed hands reach out from its withered arms, grasping at its prey. And from its back, leathery bat-like wings unfurl, carrying it silently through the darkness. The most terrifying aspect of the Jersey Devil, however, is its cry. A high-pitched, blood-curdling scream that echoes through the pines, a sound that chills the very soul and freezes the blood in the veins of those who hear it. It is a sound that speaks of primal fear, of ancient evil, of a creature born of darkness and despair. For centuries, the legend has persisted, passed down through generations, a chilling tale whispered around campfires. Farmers tell of livestock mutilated, their carcasses bearing the unmistakable marks of the devil's claws. Hunters speak of fleeting glimpses in the shadows, of a creature that moves with unnatural speed and agility. And then there are the whispers of those who claim to have encountered the devil face to face, their stories filled with terror and madness. They speak of a creature that possesses an almost hypnotic power, its eyes holding them captive, its scream paralyzing them with fear. They speak of a being that feeds not only on flesh and blood, but on the very fear it instills in its victims. And then, the most chilling detail of all, those who survive an encounter with the Jersey Devil are never quite the same. They carry the mark of the beast within them, a shadow that haunts their dreams and whispers in their waking moments. In the shadowy annals of New England's history, amidst tales of spectral figures and cursed lands, the story of Eunice Cole, or Goody Cole, stands out with a chilling resonance. In the small town of Brentwood, New Hampshire, her name became synonymous with witchcraft and woe, her life a testament to the dark superstitions that once gripped the heart of the 17th century. Goody Cole was an enigmatic figure, her life shrouded in misfortune and mystery. First accused of witchcraft in 1656, she became the scapegoat for every disaster that befell the town, from unexplained deaths to failing crops and dying livestock. Her neighbours' fear and suspicion branded her an outcast, a woman touched by the devil himself. The townsfolk whispered that she could be seen muttering to herself in the woods, concocting strange brews and communing with unseen forces. Children dared each other to peek through her dimly lit windows, only to flee in terror at the sight of her shadowy form bending over a flickering flame. It was said that she cast curses with a glance and summoned storms with a wave of her gnarled hands. Her repute as a witch grew so dire that in 1673 she was accused once more. This time, the evidence was more damning, the fear more palpable. They dragged her before the court, her eyes blazing with defiance as the charges were read. Found guilty, she was sentenced to imprisonment, her final years spent in the cold, dark confines of a cell, where she was left to languish, forgotten by all but those who feared her curse. But death did not bring Goody Cole peace. The town, eager to rid its departed spirit from rising and haunting them. Yet this act only solidified her legend, and it was said that her spirit lingered, malevolent and vengeful. To this day, eerie occurrences in Brentwood are often whispered to be the workings of Goody Cole's restless ghost. On stormy nights, some claim to see her figure in the flashes of lightning, wandering the woods or standing by her unmarked grave, still bound by the town's collective dread. Her legend has become a chilling reminder of the power of fear and the lasting stain of injustice, her story echoing through the centuries as a spectral tale of a woman wronged, her vengeance immortalised in the whispered fears of those who remember. Tonight, let me guide you into the shadows of ancient Spain, where the chilling legend of the Castilian lisp unfolds. Relax, close your eyes, and let the whispers of history lull you to sleep. In the dark corners of Spain's forgotten history, a chilling tale has lingered for centuries, whispered among locals and passed down from generation to generation. It's the legend of the Castilian lisp, a haunting story that, while discredited by scholars, continues to send shivers down the spines of those who hear it. Long ago, in a time when kings ruled with an iron fist and the boundaries between myth and reality were blurred, there was a king unlike any other. His name has been lost to the shadows of time, but his affliction, an unmistakable lisp, would echo across Spain, leaving a trail of fear and confusion in its wake. The king's speech was strange, almost inhuman, as though something had cursed his very words. His voice carried an eerie sibilance, a sound that cut through the air like the hiss of a snake. The court, terrified of the king's wrath, dared not speak of his speech defect, but whispers of dark magic and ancient curses spread beyond the castle walls, infecting the imagination of the populace. It was said that the king's lisp was no mere quirk of speech, but the result of a sinister pact made with forces beyond this world. Some claimed he had bargained with a demon for power, and in return his tongue was twisted, forcing him to speak in a way that no one else could. Others believed that a vengeful witch had cursed him, condemning his voice to forever sound as though it were tethered to the underworld. As the legend goes, the king was a man of great influence, and no one dared to correct his speech. Instead, out of fear, the courtiers and nobles began to mimic the king's pronunciation. His strange lisp spread like a disease, infecting the tongues of those who sought to curry favour with the crown. Soon, it was said, the entire kingdom spoke as their king did, their voices carrying the cursed sound of the theatre. The streets echoed with the eerie lisp, a constant reminder of the dark secret lurking in Spain's past. Children grew up speaking the language of the damned, unaware of the malevolent forces that had shaped their words. Though historians have debunked this tale as pure fantasy, the legend persists, a chilling reminder of how even the most benign of sounds can carry with them the weight of a curse. The next time you hear the soft hiss of a theatre in Spanish speech, remember the tale of the cursed king and wonder what dark power still lingers behind the sound. In the shadowed peaks of California's Santa Lucia Range, there exists a haunting legend that has persisted for centuries. Known as the Dark Watchers, or as early Spanish settlers called them, Los Vigilantes Oscuros, these mysterious figures are said to lurk among the cliffs and ridges, observing anyone who dares wander too close. They are tall, towering silhouettes, human-like, yet somehow larger than life, standing motionless against the horizon, watching in silence. No one knows who or what they are, or why they appear, but every sighting comes with a feeling of dread, as if these dark sentinels hold secrets that mortals were never meant to uncover. Travellers who venture into the mountains often report a strange sense of being watched, landscape, they see them, figures draped in darkness, always at a distance, their outlines clear, but their features impossible to discern. They wear what appear to be long cloaks and wide-brimmed hats, though some say the figures shift and blur if looked at too long, fading into shadows, as if they were never there at all. Yet they reappear moments later, always at the edge of sight, still watching, waiting. Many believe that the Dark Watchers are ancient spirits, protectors of the mountains, or perhaps remnants of a darker time, cursed to roam these peaks eternally. Legend has it that they don't take kindly to those who venture too deeply into their territory. One story tells of a hiker who, upon noticing a figure in the distance, tried to approach it. As he drew closer, he felt an icy chill spreading through his body, a whisper on the wind urging him to turn back. When he ignored it and moved forward, the figure seemed to grow taller, its shadow stretching, consuming the very light around him. Panicked, the hiker ran, but the feeling of the watcher's gaze followed him, haunting him for years afterward. Another tale describes a group of campers who spotted a dark watcher at dusk, outlined against the setting sun. They watched in terror as it seemed to raise an arm, pointing directly at them, though no face could be seen. That night, the campers awoke to strange sounds outside their tent. A soft rustling, like fabric brushing against stone. In the morning, they found strange footprints around their camp, impossibly large, yet vanishing abruptly, as if the entity had simply melted into the mountain itself. People say that the Dark Watchers cannot be approached or interacted with. Those who have tried to take photographs or call out to them find that their equipment malfunctions, their voices swallowed by the stillness. The Watchers simply observe, their intentions unfathomable, as if bound by a purpose known only to them. Locals warn hikers to leave offerings if they must enter the mountains. Nestled in the shadowy woods of Connecticut lies Dudleytown, an abandoned settlement long deserted, yet shrouded in a legend so dark that locals dare not approach. Known as the Village of the Damned, Dudleytown is said to be cursed, a place where misfortune and madness consumed all who once called it home. Though the town has been reclaimed by nature, its eerie past haunts the trees, and whispers of its sinister history linger in the night air. The story begins with the Dudley family, who settled here in the 1700s. According to legend, they brought a curse with them, a curse that had followed them from England, steeped in betrayal and misfortune. Soon after they arrived, strange occurrences began. Crops failed, livestock vanished, and settlers faced strange, violent deaths. Many residents fell into madness, claiming to see dark figures lurking at the edge of the forest. Some even spoke of hearing whispers and laughter echoing in the stillness, voices from the shadows calling them into the woods. Dudleytown's decline was swift and brutal. By the 1800s, the few remaining families abandoned the town, fleeing the unshakable sense of dread that clung to it. They left behind decaying homes and stories of mysterious disappearances, tragic suicides, and madness that seemed to plague anyone who lingered too long. Locals believe the land itself is cursed, a dark energy woven into the soil, infecting all who come near. Today it is said that the spirits of those who perished in Dudleytown still roam the empty streets, forever trapped by the curse. Though the town is now off limits, curiosity seekers still attempt to visit, drawn by the sinister reputation of Dudleytown. Many who sneak onto the land report feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, hearing faint whispers or even seeing shadowy figures moving among the ruins. Some have left in terror, claiming they felt invisible hands pressing down on their shoulders, as if something were trying to pull them into the darkness. The warnings are clear. Stay away from Dudleytown, for the curse remains, waiting for those foolish enough to disturb the silence of the haunted ghost town. Those who venture there may find themselves trapped, ensnared by a darkness that has claimed many before, and will not hesitate to claim more. is said to lurk, known as the Mini Washitu, or the water monster of the Missouri River. This bison-like beast haunts the waters, sending shivers down the spines of those who dare to approach its domain. The Mini Washitu is no ordinary creature. Descriptions of the beast are chilling. Its body resembles that of a bison, but its eyes glow with an eerie red light, and its skin shimmers like wet, glistening stone. Some say its back is covered in jagged spines, and its massive horns curve upward like dark crescent moons. The Mini Washitu is said to be both beautiful and horrifying, an ancient force of nature born from the river's cold, dark currents. The legend warns that encountering the Mini Washitu is a death sentence. It is said that those who see the creature are struck with a terrible madness, their minds unravelling as they are haunted by visions of the beast long after their encounter. Some victims are drawn back to the river, compelled to wade into its icy waters, where the Mini Washitu waits to drag them to a watery grave. The origins of the Mini Washitu are shrouded in mystery. Some believe it is a guardian spirit of the river, punishing those who disrespect its waters. Others whisper that it is an ancient predator, older than the land itself, a creature that has hunted these waters since time immemorial. To this day, the legend of the Mini Washitu persists, a chilling reminder of the unknown lurking beneath the river's surface. Fishermen and boaters are warned to tread carefully, especially on moonlit nights, when the river glows with an unnatural light. For if you see the Mini Washitu, it may already be too late. Its glowing eyes the last thing you'll ever see before the river claims you forever. We journey into the misty woods of Bradley, where the sorrowful spirit of the Black Lady roams. Let her quiet footsteps guide you into a peaceful, restful sleep. The Black Lady of Bradley Woods is a haunting figure from English folklore, said to roam the dark and mysterious woods near the village of Bradley in Lincolnshire. This spectral presence has been a part of local legend for centuries, with many claiming to have caught glimpses of her wandering the woods, shrouded in sorrow and silence. Described as a tall, slender woman, dressed entirely in black, the Black Lady is most often seen wearing a long, flowing cloak with a hood that covers her face. Her appearance is always marked by an overwhelming sense of sadness and grief, as if she is forever searching for something or someone lost. Her skin is pale, and her eyes, when visible, are filled with an eternal sorrow that seems to pierce through those who encounter her. According to the most well-known version of the legend, the Black Lady was once a young woman during the medieval period who lived happily with her husband, a soldier, and their newborn child in a cottage near the woods. However, her peaceful life was shattered when her husband was called away to fight in the wars. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but he never returned. Then, one tragic night, a group of soldiers reportedly attacked the village, killing many and abducting the young woman's child. Devastated by the loss of her family, the young mother wandered the woods, searching endlessly for her child, until her grief consumed her, and she eventually perished. From that moment on, her restless spirit is said to have remained bound to the woods, eternally searching for her lost lost in her grief, before vanishing back into the darkness. Over the years, the legend of the Black Lady has served as a cautionary tale for children, warning them to stay away from the woods after dark. While many are sceptical, there are still those who believe in her presence, and stories of sightings continue to circulate. Whether real or imagined, the Black Lady of Bradley Woods remains a symbol of deep sorrow and eternal longing. Her tragic story lingers in the minds of those who hear it, casting a shadow of mystery and sadness over the quiet village of Bradley. In the desolate hills of Bridgewater Corners, Vermont, a chilling legend whispers through the icy winds. The story of the Frozen Hill People, a tale as bleak as the winters that shroud the region. It begins on December 21st, 1887, a winter so cruel that it buried the hills under an unforgiving blanket of snow and ice, sealing off a poor family of hill farmers from the rest of the world. What happened in their isolated home during those endless frigid nights remains one of Vermont's darkest mysteries. The family, so impoverished they could barely afford to feed themselves, was known for their reclusive nature. They lived high in the hills, where even the hardiest dared not venture during winter's peak. As the snow piled higher, cutting them off completely, rumours spread in the nearby towns. Weeks passed with no sign of life from their cabin, no smoke curling from the chimney, no tracks in the snow. The silence was as suffocating as the frost. When the thaw finally came, a few brave townsfolk ventured to the cabin, fearing the worst. What they found chilled them to their very cores. The family's bodies were discovered, eerily preserved in the ice, frozen in unnatural positions. Their eyes, wide open, seemed to stare with an unsettling awareness, as if they had seen something horrific in their final moments. The mother sat upright in her chair, her hands clasped as if in prayer, her frozen face twisted in terror. The children were found huddled together in a corner, their mouths agape in silent screams. And the father, he was by the door, his hands bloodied, as if clawing at the wood in a desperate attempt to escape. But what truly horrified the townsfolk were the signs that something far darker had transpired. Strange symbols had been scratched into the walls, crude and jagged, as if made in a frenzy. Furniture was overturned, and strange claw-like marks marred the floor, leading to the snow-covered woods behind the cabin. Some claimed they could feel an oppressive presence in the room, an icy chill that wasn't from the weather. The legend grew, with whispers that the family had summoned something during their isolation, something ancient, malevolent, and hungry. Others believed they had been cursed by the very hills they tried to conquer, the land itself reclaiming their lives as punishment. To this day, locals avoid the area, swearing that on cold, moonlit nights, the cabin reappears, its windows glowing faintly with a ghostly light. Hikers who stray too close have reported hearing faint voices carried on the wind, desperate prayers, frantic whispers, and chilling screams that seem to echo from Some claim to have seen frozen figures staring from the shadows of the trees, their eyes unblinking, their faces frozen in eternal terror. The Frozen Hill people remain a haunting reminder of nature's merciless grip and the darkness that can creep into the minds of the isolated. Their story lingers, as cold and unyielding as the winters that claimed them, a warning to all who dare to tread too far into Vermont's frozen hills. Tonight we journey to the misty moors of Cornwall to uncover the legend of the beast of Bodmin Moor. Relax, unwind, and let this mysterious tale help you drift into sleep. The beast of Bodmin Moor is a popular folklore legend from Cornwall, England, centred around sightings of a mysterious, large, black cat-like creature. First reported in 1978, the legend of the beast quickly gained traction as locals began to claim encounters with a phantom panther or leopard-like animal roaming the wild expanses of Bodmin Moor. This eerie creature was said to have sleek black fur, glowing eyes, and a muscular build, often compared to big cats that typically wouldn't be found in the English countryside. The beast of Bodmin Moor gained further notoriety, with reports of mutilated livestock, particularly sheep, that appeared to have been slain by a large predator. Farmers and locals were alarmed by these unexplained killings, which led to speculation that a dangerous wild animal was on the loose. The creature was believed to be responsible for these attacks, and over time the legend grew, with sightings occasionally reported even decades after the initial claims. Despite extensive investigations, including one by the British government in 1995, no conclusive evidence of the beast's existence has ever been found. The government's inquiry concluded that there was no verifiable proof of big cats living in the area, though this did little to dispel the legend. Some suggest that the beast might be an escaped exotic pet, while others believe it's purely myth. To this day, the beast of Bodmin Moor remains a staple of local folklore, continuing to spark curiosity and fear among both residents and visitors to the moor, adding a layer of mystery to the rugged landscape of Cornwall. In the dark forest surrounding Rhinelander, Wisconsin, there exists a creature so fearsome and unnatural that even the bravest souls hesitate to speak of it. Known as the Hodag, this terrifying beast is said to be born of fire and torment, a creature born from the very ashes of suffering. Its legend, rooted in the town's grim past, has lived on in whispers, passed down from one generation to the next. The Hodag is described as a hulking, bull-like carnivore, with massive horns jutting from its head and a row of thick, jagged spines running down its back. Its eyes burn with a feral hunger, glowing with a vicious intelligence that sends chills down the spine of anyone unlucky enough to encounter it. The creature's claws are said to be as sharp as razors, and its teeth, long, curved and pointed, are capable of tearing through flesh with ease, but it is not just its fearsome appearance that makes it so terrifying. It is the dark story of its creation. The legend says that the hodag was born from the ashes of cremated oxen, a horrific consequence of the abuse these animals suffered at the hands of their masters in Rhinelander. In the early days of the town, oxen were used for heavy labour, often treated with brutal cruelty. The animals were pushed beyond their limits, worked to the point of exhaustion, beaten and starved until they could endure no more. It is said that when these oxen were finally put to rest, their suffering did not end. Instead, their accumulated pain and rage gave birth to something dark and unnatural, a creature made of their collective torment. One fateful night, after a particularly brutal winter, a large fire raged through Rhinelander. It was said to have started in a nearby barn where the remains of abused oxen were burned. As the flames consumed the carcasses, something strange happened, something that could not be explained. From the heat and smoke, the hodag emerged, a twisted, vengeful incarnation of all the suffering and misery these animals had endured. Its very existence was an embodiment of rage, a creature that would stop at nothing to wreak havoc upon those responsible for the pain it was born from. As the hodag wandered the forest surrounding Rhinelander, it became a terror that haunted the local people. They spoke of its eerie, guttural growl echoing through the trees, a sound that would freeze anyone who heard it in their tracks. Some claimed to have seen the beast, its massive horns gleaming in the moonlight, its spine arched in an unnatural curve, ready to pounce. Those who ventured too deep into the woods would often never return, their screams lost to the wind, leaving only the faintest trace of blood behind. The townsfolk tried everything they could to rid themselves of the hodag. Hunters with rifles and traps ventured into the woods, but no one could ever seem to capture it. The beast would always slip away, vanishing into the forest as quickly as it had appeared, leaving behind only fear and unease. As time went on, the hodag became more than just a story. It became a symbol of the town's dark past, a reminder of the cruelty that had birthed it. Today, many in Rhinelander still speak of the creature in hushed tones. Some say the hodag still roams the forests, its bloodlust unsatisfied, waiting for the next unfortunate soul to cross its path. Others believe it is just a legend, a tale spun from the fear and guilt of a town haunted by its own history. But one thing remains certain. In the dense woods of Rhinelander, under the shadow of the trees, there are whispers of something lurking, something waiting, and if you listen closely, you might hear the growl of the hodag, a sound that will freeze your blood and leave you wondering if the legend is truly just that, or something far more sinister. In the shadowed corners of Edinburgh's Greyfriars Kirkyard, a chilling presence lingers, a restless, malevolent spirit known as the Mackenzie poltergeist. The ghost of Sir George Mackenzie, one of Scotland's most infamous figures, is said to haunt the cemetery, bound to the very site where his victims lie buried. In life, Mackenzie was a brutal enforcer of religious oppression, orchestrating the persecution and deaths of countless Covenanters, Scottish Presbyterians who defied the Crown's mandates. Many of his victims were imprisoned in a section of the graveyard now ominously referred to as the Covenanters' Prison, a cold, desolate corner of the cemetery where unimaginable suffering once occurred. Ironically, Mackenzie's own tomb, a grand, imposing mausoleum, sits near the mass graves of those he tormented. The legend begins with reports of strange occurrences around his mausoleum. Visitors have spoken of sudden, icy chills, the sensation of being watched, and even unexplained bruises and scratches appearing on their skin. Some claim to have seen dark, shadowy figures darting between the gravestones, while others have reported hearing faint whispers carried on the wind, voices of anguish and rage that seem to echo from the past. The poltergeist's rage is said to have been awakened in the late 20th century when a homeless man sought refuge inside Mackenzie's tomb, desecrating it in his desperation. From that moment, the paranormal activity escalated, and tales of the Mackenzie poltergeist spread like wildfire. To this day, the kirkyard is considered one of the most haunted places in the world. Those who dare to visit at night are warned to tread carefully, for Mackenzie's vengeful spirit is said to lash out at those who disturb his eternal rest.